Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Real Time, where we talk about the movies we like.
And the ones we don't.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Molly.
Last time when we were talking about Dragon Ball Evolution, we said that this next video would be something a lot better. And what better way to close out the year 2023 than by celebrating the 20th anniversary of the Lord of the Rings trilogy?
A classic trilogy of movies. Everyone loves them. I have mixed feelings. I mean, they're awesome, but it's kind of hard for me to set through them. They're just really long. Other than that, though, I mean, I understand they're great movies.
Last time I said that it took us 2 days to watch Dragon Ball Evolution, which was an hour and 25-minute movie because it was just so bad that I had to break it up into two. But with these movies, I'd be willing to binge all three of them one right after the other.
It would take you quite a while, but yeah, we could do it.
Around 14 hours.
That's a long time.
The Lord of the Rings trilogy is, of course, based off of the novels by J.R.R. Tolkien, a World War I veteran who first wrote The Hobbit in the 1930s, and then it took him 12 years to write The Lord of the Rings. Tolkien served at the Battle of the Somme, and during the war, he lost all but one of his closest friends. He was a fantastic writer, and he's one of the best of all time.
Yeah, I've never read any of his books, but I mean, yeah, he is a classic author now, and he definitely deserves his success. Well deserved.
To me, The Lord of the Rings is, simply put, one of the best stories of all time. In book or in movies, it is absolutely superb. Almost none can match it or even surpass it, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is really hard to beat Lord of the Rings. Just the classic story of adventure, and it has all these different fights, and it's it has a little something for everybody in there, I think.
The only things, in my opinion, that come close to matching or surpassing it, it's a very short list. There's the Golden Age arc of Berserk for one. I feel like that is one of the few stories that does surpass Lord of the Rings, in my opinion. There is Metal Gear Solid 3 and The Phantom Pain. They are both excellent video games that have a rich story with enough world building to rival Lord of the Rings, in my opinion. And there's others, I'm sure. I just can't think of any right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say Lord of the Rings is my favorite story, but I'm not going to argue that it's not one of the best stories.
We are, of course, going to start with The Fellowship of the Ring. Now, back in the 70s, Ralph Bakshi had directed an animated version of this and The Two Towers, but we're not going to talk about that right now because we did not watch it.
Yeah, I've never seen them.
But Fellowship of the Ring, and just so I don't have to repeat the same names for every movie we go into, these are the characters that pop up in every single movie. Elijah Wood as Frodo Baggins.
Yeah, obviously. Mm-hmm.
Wood was actually the first actor to be cast in this movie, so that's kind of neat.
Yeah, interesting.
At one point, Jake Gyllenhaal also unsuccessfully auditioned for the role.
Yeah, he was unsuccessful.
Which Elijah Wood was pretty well cast in this movie, I think. I don't think they could have gotten a better actor to play Frodo.
Yeah, whenever you think Frodo, you think Elijah Wood. They're like, Elijah Wood is Frodo. There's no one else who I think could have done it.
Ian McKellen plays Gandalf the Grey. Later becomes Gandalf the White. Other actors who either auditioned or were approached for the role were Sean Connery, but he didn't understand the plot. Bit weird.
I mean, I could see it.
Patrick Stewart turned it down as he didn't like the script, which is kind of funny given how Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen are friends in real life, and they played rivals in the X-Men series as Professor X and Magneto.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
Patrick McGowan was also offered the role, but he turned it down due to health issues. Anthony Hopkins, Christopher Plummer, they also turned down the role. Richard Harris was interested in it, but he didn't get it. But he did end up getting to play another fantasy wizard in the first two Harry Potter movies as Dumbledore before he died, shortly before the release of Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah, very unfortunate, but seems like there were a lot of options for Gandalf.
Sam Neill was offered the role, but couldn't do it because it was a scheduling conflict with Jurassic Park 3. That would have been an interesting choice. Like, all of these would be good choices, and if I had to choose another one, I'd probably go with Christopher Plummer. But Ian McKellen was wonderfully cast in this role. I love him in it.
Yeah, they went through a lot of people at first, but I do believe they settled on, well, it came to be, it worked out for the best, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, especially since McKellen ended up getting Oscar nominated for this role in this movie.
Yeah, pretty cool.
He didn't win, but still pretty impressive that the Academy recognized a fantasy role at all.
Yeah, it's kind of yeah, that doesn't happen a lot. So
Viggo Mortensen plays Aragorn, the heir to Gondor's throne. Other actors considered for the role were Daniel Day-Lewis, but he turned it down. Nicolas Cage was offered but declined. Vin Diesel also auditioned for the role, given that he is a fan of the books, but obviously did not get it. Stuart Townsend was cast in the role, but Peter Jackson, the director, realized he was too young. Russell Crowe was also considered, but he turned it down. Yeah, so Stuart Townsend was, again, cast in the role, but like last minute he needed to be replaced. Viggo Mortensen was a pretty late stage addition to the cast, and it worked out brilliantly.
yeah, that one also worked out really well. I mean, there were a lot of big names you said, but I feel like it also worked out for the best.
Sean Astin plays Samwise Gamgee, the best character in this whole trilogy.
I agree with that.
We're going to get into it more later, but I love Sam. He is my favorite, and he is the hero of the movie. But that's not actually really fair for me to say, since all of these characters can be considered the hero of their own journeys.
Yeah, that is a good point, but yeah, Sam's my favorite.
I just read something horrifying. Oh, no. James Corden read for the part before Astin was cast.
He probably wouldn't have been my favorite character.
No. Oh, Ordinarily, I like to say, I want to make it clear that I mean no disrespect towards any actors or people that we may discuss. But in this case, I don't care. I don't like James Corden. I'm glad he did not get this role. James Corden sucks. I'm glad he's not on TV. I'm glad he doesn't have The Late Show anymore. I don't like him. He disgusts me.
You have some strong words there.
Yes, I do.
I just don't like him, but I can't think of words that creative, so.
Anyways, let's keep going.
Yeah, good idea.
Sean Bean plays Boromir. He only appears in small cameos in Two Towers and Return of the King, but I'm including him anyways because why the heck not? Because he's important. He's important. He's a part of the Fellowship. Bruce Willis wanted the role. That would have been interesting, but I feel like Sean Bean was the right one for the role. And Liam Neeson was sent the script, but he passed. Sean Bean was the right cat. Look, we're gonna be saying this for every single one of these actors. They're all well cast for these roles. The Lord of the Rings trilogy is some of the best cast roles in all of film. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. They just really play their characters very well. Whenever you see the characters, I mean, they just embody the characters very well.
Billy Boyd and Dominic Monaghan play Peregrine Took, or Pippin, and Meriadoc Brandybuck, or Mary. These characters are actually cousins of Frodo, so that's kind of neat.
Well, kind of fun.
John Rhys Davies plays Gimli, a dwarf who has a bit of a rivalry with Legolas, but they learn to be friends. Orlando Bloom plays Legolas, the prince of the woodland elves, and a skilled archer.
He's a very pretty prince.
Yeah, that's what all the women say. Liv Tyler plays Arwen, an elf from Rivendell who ends up marrying Aragorn. Yeah, don't give me anything about spoilers. These movies are 20 years old. If you haven't seen them by now, that's not my problem.
Yeah. Yeah, you have a lot of chances to watch them, probably.
Kate Blanchett plays Galadriel, the elven co-leader of Lothlorien alongside her husband. Christopher Lee plays Saruman the White, the head of the Ishtari Order, Gandalf's Order of Wizards, who eventually defects to Sauron's side and joins him.
Yeah. Also pretty good cast.
Lee was a big fan of the series and had read the whole trilogy once a year for basically all his life.
Yeah, so he definitely deserved a spot in this movie.
He's the only cast member to have met J.R.R. Tolkien in real life.
That's pretty cool.
He met him through an acquaintance of his at a bar, and in Lee's words, he almost knelt.
Yeah, it almost feels that way whenever you meet someone like that. I just now got your text.
Oh.
Sorry to interrupt.
Hugo Weaving plays Elrond, the Elf Lord of Rivendell, and Aragorn's foster dad and the father of Arwen. David Bowie was interested in the role, but Peter Jackson said to have a famous beloved character and a famous star colliding is slightly uncomfortable. You know, I got to agree. I feel like David Bowie's presence as Elrond would be a bit distracting. Could have been cool, but
Yeah, it could have been really cool, but also I do think it would be distracting because instead of seeing the character, you would just see David Bowie.
Yeah, immersion broken.
Yeah.
Ian Holm plays Bilbo Baggins. Holm had previously actually played Frodo in a 1981 radio adaptation of the Lord of the Rings.
Oh, that's nice.
Andy Serkis plays Gollum. He has a much bigger role in the two following movies, but he does show up in the Fellowship.
Yeah, Andy Serkis did a lot of good work on this movie.
Yeah, we'll get more into him as Gollum later, but these are our principal actors for the next three movies. So let's actually get into talking about Fellowship, because we've already spent quite a few minutes on the cast, which this is a massive cast. So yeah, that's to be expected. So I, like many other people my age, first saw the Fellowship of the Ring when I was a very young boy. Okay, I was 6 years old, and I went to go see this movie, and I was just blown away. Okay, it was because this is a big movie. You know, not as big as the next two, but still, when you're 6 years old and you haven't really seen anything to this scale, it means a lot to you.
Yeah, this is a really big scale movie. I saw it very young as well. I really don't know the age, and I don't know. I probably didn't even sit through the whole movie the first time I saw it. But I remember my grandpa really liked the movies, so he had them on VHS. So I probably saw it at my grandma's house, if I had to guess, for the first time. I don't know.
Yeah. And at one point in my life, I was actually watching all three of these movies every weekend. Okay, I would just stay up late just watching every minute of the extended versions of all these movies.
Sounds like you're a little bit of a nerd.
Sounds like I was having fun, is what happened.
Okay.
And really, no part of this trilogy is bad. I think my least favorite of this trilogy is The Two Towers. But even then, I still really enjoy it.
Yeah, The Two Towers is the second movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I agree that one was my least favorite. If I'm remembering correctly.
So, I mean, do we really need to talk about explain the plot? I feel like everyone listening to this will know what's what.
Yeah. I feel like we can skip the plot.
But, just in case, thousands of years ago, the Dark Lord Sauron forges a ring in order to take control of Middle-earth. Later on, he gets defeated in battle, and the ring passes to Isildur, the heir of Gondor at the time. Later on, after Isildur gets killed, the ring disappears from all memory. Okay? Until it's picked up by a hobbit named Smeagol, who later becomes Gollum after the ring corrupts him over about 500 years. After that, Bilbo Baggins later finds the ring while on his own journey. It's a funny story, but it's not important right now. And later on, he doesn't give the ring to Frodo. He leaves it there after is finally convinced to give up the ring. And after Gandalf realizes what this ring is, they have to go on a journey to destroy it. And that's the next three movies, basically.
Yep. That's the basics, I'd say.
So, The Fellowship of the Ring, a great start to this absolutely fantastic trilogy. I love it.
Yeah, I really like The Fellowship of the Ring. It might be my favorite. I might like it more than the last one. I'm not for sure.
Really? I mean, I'm not too surprised by that, because that's most of the answers I get when I ask people what their favorite of the trilogy is either Fellowship or Return of the King. But what makes Fellowship of the Ring your favorite?
I think it mostly has to do that they're all together. Like all the main characters are working together, and so it just has a little bit more of a happier vibe to it, I think. It hasn't quite gone completely dark until about the end, whenever Gandalf dies, sort of. So I think that might be why.
I get what you're saying. You know, it's very it's a more cozy movie.
Yes, I think so, and that's what I like.
It's the coziest epic movie you'll ever see.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like just the making of these movies were fantastic. I'll get more into it when it comes to certain aspects of the other movies, but when it comes to Fellowship, a really great thing that I love that they did was the use of forced perspective and rotating sets in order to make these actors look like they actually are different sizes. Because take the scene where Gandalf and Frodo are sitting at Bilbo's table. So there's miniature props next to, well, not miniature. There's larger props next to Frodo to give them the impression that he's smaller, and regular sized ones next to Gandalf to make him seem bigger, you know? And through the use of forced perspective, they're not actually sitting next to each other, obviously, because that would ruin the illusion. One is actually much farther away from the camera to make it look like he's smaller. That would be Elijah Wood. But what they're doing is they're rotating the camera, but that would ruin the immersion, because you would see through the illusion. What they did next was they had the set that they were sitting at rotate the opposite direction of the camera so that their sizes would remain the same.
Yeah, that's really cool. There's a lot of really cool things they did to have just to make the hobbits look small.
I mean, some of the times what they did when the Hobbit actors' backs were turned was just slap a wig on a midget. Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the simple solutions that work well too.
Yeah, I mean, you make it as easy as it can, but while doing the job well.
But I just love the explanation of the rotating sets and the miniature props and all that. It just shows how much effort and attention to detail went into these movies. It's you love to see it. You love to see filmmakers honing their craft and making something that is really a labor of love. You love to see it.
Yeah, yeah. I love all the little things that goes on, like in the behind the camera. It's just really cool how they made it all work.
So remember the scene in when Gandalf gets there to Bag End at Bilbo's place, and he bumps his head on the on the ceiling.
Yes.
That was not supposed to happen. Ian McKellen turned his head too fast and just bonked it on the wood, and they just decided to keep it in because it was funny.
It is pretty funny. Yeah, I'd be embarrassed if that were me, but hey, as long as it made the movie better.
And since Ian McKellen is a true professional, he did not break character.
Yeah, that is a true professional.
Also, a interesting story. During the last fight between Aragorn and Lurtz, the leader of the Uruk-hai, the prosthetics on the actor for Lurtz's face, they're so they were blinding him so much that he didn't mean to actually throw the knife that he did at Viggo Mortensen, but he did. And like a Chad, Viggo Mortensen deflected it with his sword.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Like the guy threw an actual knife at him. Viggo Mortensen just parried it just beautifully.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
It's and stuff like that where the man who trained all these actors for their swords fights said that Viggo Mortensen it was one of the best swordsmen he's ever trained.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I'm not sure if there's quite anything else we need to say about the Fellowship of the Ring. What do you think?
It's been talked about a lot because, it's a pretty amazing movie. So I think we can move on.
I think so too. Next, we are going to be talking about The Two Towers. Like I said before, The Two Towers is not my favorite movie of the trilogy, but the weakest of this trilogy is still a really good movie.
Yeah, just because it's our least favorite doesn't mean it's not good.
Returning, of course, was well, you heard the cast list. It's massive.
We don't want to do that again.
But coming back, making their first appearances in this trilogy is Bernard Hill as Theoden, King of Rohan.
Yep.
Miranda Otto plays Éowyn, Theoden's niece, who is in love with Aragorn, of course. Who wouldn't be? Uma Thurman was actually offered this role, but turned it down and later regretted it.
Yeah, I could see you regretting not taking that role.
Which makes sense. Unfortunately, the last thing anyone remembers her from is the Kill Bill movies, and that was 20 years ago.
Yep.
David Wenham plays Faramir, the Prince of Stewards of Gondor and the Captain of the Rangers. He later shows up in Return of the King, of course, and he's Boromir's little brother.
Yeah.
Their father Denethor, who we talked about on our list of worst dads in fiction, favors Boromir over Faramir. He doesn't have very much, creativity when it comes to naming his kids, though.
Yeah, they sound pretty similar.
And we see a bit of that in the extended cut of this movie, which, by the way, I never watched the theatrical cuts. It's extended or nothing for me.
I don't know if I've ever seen the extended version.
Brad Dourif plays Grima Wormtongue, Saruman's guy in Rohan, who's influencing Theoden at the start of the movie. Carl Urban plays Eomer, Theoden's nephew, who is he's a leader in the army of Rohan. John Noble, of course, appears as Denethor, the Steward of Gondor and overall douchebag of the trilogy.
That's a nice title for him.
Yeah, I was being nice about it too.
Yeah, I believe it.
And that's all for the major new players of this movie.
I will admit it's hard for me to keep track of everybody's name, especially with all the new characters coming in on top of the original characters. It's hard for me, I'll be honest.
Also, John Rhys Davies plays Treebeard, he's basically a big old tree guy in the movie. He's pretty fun.
Yep, he's just a big tree. What are they called?
Ents.
Ints, yeah.
And although he first appeared in Fellowship, Andy Serkis makes a bigger splash as Gollum in this movie. And this is the movie that basically introduced everyone to Andy Serkis and his work.
Yeah, I feel like that really marked his start. Well, I mean, it was his start, I assume, but it really made him big in the motion capture world.
Yeah, he a lot of his more well-known roles, like Gollum, King Kong, and Caesar in the Planet of the Apes movies, are all due to motion capture, mocap.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, when I see him in something like Black Panther or The Prestige or The Batman, I realize I remember. Oh yeah, he's a great actor who does things outside of motion capture too. He can do everything.
Yeah, I really like seeing him in things. It just is kind of surprising to see him in a normal setting, I guess.
Always welcome though.
Yeah.
Like he plays, like we talked about, he played dual roles in the remake of King Kong. He played Kong and the ship's cook Lumpy, and he's fantastic in both roles. In a similar way, he plays dual roles in this movie too, because he plays Gollum and Smeagol, two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, even though they are technically the same guy, they are very different.
Same person,
but also very different.
And we got to talk about the amount of work that went into motion capture, the mocap for Gollum. First of all, Andy Serkis is on stage doing his thing, so Elijah Wood and Sean Astin have something to actually physically interact with.
Yeah, that probably definitely helped the whole experience.
Which that's how it's done today too, so that's not too different.
Oh.
But also, he's doing motion capture in a studio afterwards, and they didn't get like a computer guy to design the look of Gollum. They got a makeup artist so that he can actually look and feel tangible, so that there wouldn't be any uncanny valley effects.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds like a lot of work.
Well, it's well worth it, as you can see.
Yeah, it really is.
Speaking of work, they had two guys spend countless hours handcrafting chainmail armor for this movie. They did it for so long that their fingers started bleeding. Yeah,
that's crazy. That so the chainmail was real?
Yeah, the chainmail, the armor. Heck, the scenes of the orcs forging swords, they just got the armorers, put them in orc makeup and costume, and filmed them forging swords.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
Yeah, these movies are really awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of detail that goes into it behind the camera.
One of which I swear to God, I do my best to keep myself from saying every time this movie comes up. But when Viggo Mortensen kicked an orc helmet when they discovered all the dead Orokai, he actually broke his toe, and his shouts of pain that he turned into him being anguish for the supposed deaths of Merry and Pippin, they just kept it in.
Yeah. That I guess that really shows you that they made actual sturdy armor and stuff, because that helmet had to be pretty heavy then if he broke his toe, or he kicked it really hard.
Yeah, I would not want to kick that. And yeah, the take that happened was in the finished movie
Yeah, that's it's pretty funny.
because Viggo Mortensen is a true professional.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, at certain points, both Orlando Bloom and John Rhys Davies were injured on set too. So, at points when they were, running for panning shots, they were running on injuries. Like, you can't make this up. Everyone on this set were giving their A games all the time.
Yeah, I could not do that. I'd be like, yeah, either let me rest or pay me a lot more while I run with a cracked rib or whatever.
Or they just use a stunt double.
Yeah.
Because they're wide shots. No one would be able to tell the difference. But they did it anyways because, like I said, true professionals all the time.
Yep. True professionals for sure.
Now, Two Towers was the real start of the epic grand scale battles of this trilogy. And there's one thing that I forgot to mention about Fellowship, but it comes back here too. The Balrog in Fellowship. We see it again because we see Gandalf fighting with it, as he explains how he came back, which, oh yeah, Gandalf's back too.
Oh, yeah. Surprise!
He's back as Gandalf the White. He's basically the same, except he's in white.
Yeah, he seems the same. Maybe a little wiser.
So, he fell down this pit fighting the Balrog, and later it ended up on a mountain. I don't understand it. Just go with it. But the Balrog shows up for maybe 5 minutes of screen time overall. Okay, he shows up. Gandalf have a little scuffle. They fall down. Then they fight some more. And I don't think it's more than 5 minutes overall. And what an impact.
Yeah, I don't remember that scene being very long.
Sorry to go off on a bit of a tangent, but it was related.
It was related, so good for you.
Let's see. Like I said, the start of large-scale battles in this trilogy, not including the opening, which was fairly short. Pretty cool, but still doesn't hold a candle to Helm's Deep in this movie. Oh man, that's the good stuff.
Remind me what Helm's Deep is again?
It's the battle at the end.
Oh yeah.
The one in the rain with all the orcs and the Orokai.
Yeah.
And then there's that one guy who suicides bombs his way to open up the wall.
Yeah, and they can't shoot him down with the arrows.
Which, Legolas, where were you on that? You just choked for a couple seconds. Where were you, buddy? You've been doing so well before, but now you're just screwing it up.
Legolas can't be 100% accurate.
Yes, he can.
Sometimes he just needs a little break.
Not now. No. We are in the middle of a battle, Legolas. Now is not the time for you to be shooting badly.
He did the best he could.
His best was not good enough.
No one else was doing any better.
I don't expect anything from them.
I will defend Legolas.
You absolute simp.
I don't care. I do not care.
Goober.
Anyways, Helm's Deep.
Yeah, great tension leading up to the battle because, well, for one, this is basically their last stand, okay? They don't have that many soldiers fighting. In fact, they have to put armor and weapons onto and in the hands of old men and children. So they're down to the wire. And you just feel the tension mounting up and then Haldir and his elf archers come in, and they help raise their chances by about 2%.
Yeah.
Because this is an army of thousands of orcs, and they're all coming, and you don't see them at first. You hear them marching, and then you get to see them, and it's like, oh, how are they getting out of this?
Things do not look good.
And I mean, eventually they do manage to win the battle there, but the road to it, it's both uncomfortable and very fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree. Uncomfortable, but fun to watch.
Especially since when day breaks, Gandalf arrives with the riders of Rohan, because a wizard is never late, nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.
Yes, that's true.
I don't think there's much more to say about Two Towers, unless you have anything to say.
No, I think we're good.
Yeah, it's a very excellent movie. Not as good as Fellowship or Return of the King, but still really good. I enjoy it. I do.
I know you do, yeah.
So, next we have Return of the King. Full disclosure, Return of the King is my favorite of the trilogy.
Why is it your favorite?
Well, it's hard to explain, but also feels like it should be obvious. But I'm going to try to explain this as best I can. I love the conclusion to this story. It feels really great to see what the stories have been leading up to this whole time, and it's just so much more epic than the last two. I love the battle scenes. I love the characters. I love the act of finishing this. It's just it's a great feeling when you finally get to the end and everything is as it should be.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes on. There's a lot of battle scenes. There's a lot of stuff to wrap up. So yeah, it is very epic.
This past spring, I went to go see this movie at the movie theater for like its 20th anniversary, and I spent 4 hours plus in this theater watching this movie. It was so great. Because I saw these movies in the theater when I was a kid, so it had been 20 years since that happened, obviously, and it felt just the same, except this was the extended edition, not the theatrical cut. So
yeah, he did go by himself, just because I can't sit still that long. That's a long time to be in a theater.
I'm looking at stuff about this movie, and Return of the King had a budget of $94 million.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, but that's pretty minuscule compared to other big budget movies.
I really have no idea. I'm poor, so I have no clue.
Well, Disney usually spends around $200 to $250 million on their superhero movies.
Oh, now that's a lot of money.
And this movie made over $1 billion. This was the second movie ever to make over $1 billion after Titanic.
Yeah, so it sure did. It made its money back, plus a lot more.
This movie was also one of the most awarded movies at the Academy Awards. It won 11 awards. It was nominated for 11, won all 11.
Nice, yeah.
It's tied with Ben-Hur and Titanic.
Pretty cool, yeah.
Just going into the awards, it won. So Fellowship and Two Towers were both nominated for a good amount of Oscars, mostly technical stuff, but they also clinched nominations for Best Picture and Director, so that's pretty cool, as well as Adapted Screenplay. Fellowship, of course, was also nominated for Best Supporting Actor for Ian McKellen as Gandalf, because, of course, he was.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
And in the awards that Return of the King won, it got, let me scroll down, Best Picture, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Original Score, Best Original Song, Best Sound Mixing, not sound editing though, but at that time they were two different awards instead of just Best Sound that you have today. Best Art Direction, Best Makeup, Best Costume Design, Best Film Editing, Best Visual Effects. I'm kind of surprised that it didn't get a nomination for Best Cinematography, but I guess you got to let other movies win something.
Yeah, you gotta be fair. Let the other movies get a little award.
But completely clean sweep. 11 nominations, 11 wins. I guess it was kind of the Academy's way of recognizing the efforts of all three movies by just giving them all to the last one, which, you know, a lot of the times the Academy doesn't really give the awards to the right movies. Sometimes they do. I guess it doesn't really matter in the end what they do, but I feel like they made the right choice there.
Yeah, probably. And it's good to see that type of movie get recognized, since it was so. Since there was like so much work put into these three movies, it's nice to get a little recognition.
We don't really have a whole lot of major players who weren't in the other two movies, so nothing on cast.
Yeah, they're all the same.
There were people who appeared in the extended edition, not the theatrical, like, of course, Brad Dourif and Christopher Lee, who, for his scene in Return of the King, Christopher Lee had to educate Peter Jackson on what the human body's sound makes after it's been stabbed in the back.
I feel like you've said this on our channel before.
I do, but this is relevant.
Okay, well, go ahead.
Peter Jackson wanted to have Christopher Lee make all sorts of noises, but Christopher Lee, because he was there, he was that guy. He knows exactly what sounds someone makes when they've been stabbed in the back, because he's done that.
That's hardcore.
Yeah, Christopher Lee was cool.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, I really wish they left that scene in the theatrical cut, because I mean, it doesn't make sense not to leave it in there. It's important to the story, because we need to see what happens to Saruman, because in the theatrical edition alone, it just implied that he's just locked in his tower after the Ents flooded Isengard. Just we don't need to worry about him. He's fine. He'll be a good boy. He's learned his lesson. But no, we need to see what happens to him.
Yeah, I agree. That should have been in the theatrical, because it is very important.
Oh well, they later remedied it, so it's fine. It's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
But also in Return of the King, we get the final descent of Frodo into Gollum's dark influence, as he's slowly creeping in and having his dirty little fingers into Frodo.
Yeah, he's very manipulative.
Yeah. Why'd you pause like that?
I don't know.
You look like you were about to say more, but then you just stopped.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm tired.
Yeah, so that's happening, and Sam is basically powerless to watch it happen until Gollum leads Frodo down. He leads him into a big old spider den.
Yeah, I don't like the spider scenes. They're scary.
Now, when J.R.R. Tolkien was a kid in South Africa, because that's where he was born and raised, his father was he was doing some sort of government work over there. He got bitten by a huge spider as a little baby boy.
Oh boy.
And he said that didn't really affect him much. I beg to differ, though.
That would affect me a whole lot.
Well, why else would you put a huge spider in your book if not because you were influenced by it in any way, sir?
Just because it's scary.
Anyways, that's what makes Frodo realize that, maybe Sam did have my best interests at heart and not, this creepy little guy who clearly only wants the ring.
Yeah. Frodo was kind of under the influence, so...
Yeah, there is that.
Yeah. he wasn't making the best choices.
Also not making the best choices is Pippin when he stares into the Palantir that Saruman was using to converse with Sauron. Their names are so similar. As a kid, didn't know who was who.
Yeah, I mean, I still have trouble telling them apart, all the names.
And that leads to Sauron. I did it again. Sauron thinking that Pippin has the ring, maybe. No, he don't.
He definitely does not.
Pippin is just a dumb little boy who's trying his best.
He is. He's trying.
So Gandalf has to take him to Minas Tirith in order to appeal to the steward of Gondor, Denethor, that, hey, we got to do something about Mordor.
Yep.
Of course, Denethor is too difficult because he's a douchebag. So when Mordor eventually does start laying siege to Minas Tirith, Gandalf has to whack him with a stick and take charge in order to actually save everyone.
Yeah. Gandalf really, saved the day there.
Yes, he did. But you know who else saved the day? Rohan.
Yes.
I loved the scene where Pippin lights the beacon at Minas Tirith, which leads to all the other beacons getting lit to let Rohan know that Gondor is calling for aid. It's just that scene, the music, the montage of all these different beacons getting lit. Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool scene.
And while all that is going on, we have Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli trying to get help from the army of the dead. It's a whole bunch of ghosts who abandoned Isildur at the Battle of Mordor back in the First Age, and now they were cursed to be ghosts until his heir came back and had them do their duty and then release them.
Yeah, the ghost army was pretty cool.
So there's a lot going on in this movie too. Also, we have Eowyn who's trying to do her best to help the war effort, and she has to go in disguise as a man in order to do it. And along with that, she brings Merry because he needs to do something too.
Yeah, he has to get involved.
So those two ride with Theoden to Gondor so that they can help. And the ride of the Rohirrim it might be my favorite scene in the whole trilogy.
It just really gets you excited and amped up for what's about to happen.
I love Theoden's speech. I love the music. I love everyone shouting about before they charge. It gives me goosebumps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It really, yeah.
And
it's good.
Fun fact, when they were making this movie in New Zealand, they didn't have enough men who were able to ride horses. So what they did for a lot of these riders was get women and put beards on them.
Yeah, that would be fun. Just riding a horse with a beard on. That would be fun.
And I think this one has the best action out of all of the whole trilogy.
Yeah, and there's a lot of it too. There's a lot of war and fight scenes.
There's the Battle of Pelennor Field. There's the battle at the Black Gates. There's the siege of Minas Tirith itself. There's Frodo and Sam in Mordor trying to get to Mount Doom. It's not a battle in the physical sense, but it's more emotional.
Yeah, it's still a battle. Yeah.
And you see a lot of people on the internet, a lot of quote unquote smart guys who like to ask the question, why didn't Sauron put any guards at the entrance of Mount Doom? Wouldn't that be a smart thing? Is he stupid or something?
I just thought he would assume Frodo would be dead by then.
Well, here's the thing. One, there's already like thousands of orcs in Mordor already. If you got past them, like, how did you get past them?
Yeah, those are the guards.
Number two, Sauron would assume that anyone with his ring wouldn't want to destroy it. They'd want to use the power, or try to, anyways. Why would he think that anyone would want to destroy this power?
Yeah. I guess I see that. Mm-hmm.
You know, so makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I feel like I'm forgetting things about this movie, but that's just how it is. By the time you get to the end, you forget things.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long movie and a lot of stuff happens in it.
Best 4+ hours I've ever spent in a movie theater ever.
I didn't go, so I don't know.
It's a wild ride. I love it, and you know, there's just so much to talk about. Hold up. Stall for me for a second, please.
Oh, okay. I could play a lot of the Lord of the Rings songs on my saxophone, and they sound pretty cool. So the music in these movie series are really cool.
Yeah, we haven't even touched on the music at all. Just every bit in this movie, in these movies, not just Return of the King, but all of them. It's just, you feel all sorts of emotions, whether it be cozy when you hear the theme for the Shire, or anxious when you hear the Nazgul's themes, or excited when you hear the Fellowship theme, or sad when you hear the breaking of the Fellowship theme. It's you get to feel all sorts of emotions while listening to this movie. Never mind just watching it.
Yeah, like I was saying, it's good music.
So for the Ride of the Rohirrim scene, Peter Jackson insisted that only writers who have read and enjoyed the books were placed at the front, so that they fully appreciate the significance of the moment and fully buy into it.
Yeah.
Which, that's got to be one of the coolest things any of those guys ever did, or women, them too.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be really cool.
That would be so awesome. I would love to do that, except I don't really care for horses, and I was also 8 at the time.
Yeah, Tyler's scared of horses.
I'm not scared of horses. I don't like horses.
He's scared of them.
Shut up.
Anyways.
You're scared of driving in cities.
That's a normal fear.
No, it's not.
It is. Whatever. Anyways, continue with whatever you're talking about.
Okay, so Pippin's scene where he was singing in Denethor's throne room, that was a song that Billy Boyd wrote, like, right before that scene happened.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Let's see. Peter Jackson allowed Andy Serkis to direct the Smeagol flashback scenes that we saw at the beginning of the movie.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. After that, he was made second unit director when they did the Hobbit trilogy, which later launched Andy Serkis's directing career. He hasn't done a whole lot of movies, but let's see. What have you done, sir? Because, like we said before, Andy Serkis is a very talented man. You know, he's good at motion capture. He's good in front of the camera. He's good behind the camera too. And I like the movies of his that I have seen. If IMDb would ever load, I can tell you what all he's done. Okay, I've only seen 2 of these. He directed Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle. It was this Netflix adaptation of the Jungle Book. I thought it was a very both accurate to the book adaptation of the Jungle Book, and also a different one as well.
Is that different than the Jungle Book remake?
From Disney?
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a different one.
Then
Like I said, it's from Netflix.
Then I have not seen that.
He didn't do the Jon Favreau directed one.
Well, I don't know.
He also directed Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage.
I haven't seen that either.
It's a lot of fun. Like it's kind of stupid, but in a fun way.
Yeah, I like stupid but fun things.
Well, yeah.
I like you.
I was about to say that. Um. Now I'm stalling. Okay, so there's a few final scenes that I would like to talk about. For one, Aragorn being crowned King of Gondor. It's a very nice scene because this is what this is what Aragorn's character arc throughout these three movies has been leading to. His refusal to take up the mantle of king has been something that has been on his mind, but now he's finally done it, and it's what he deserves.
Yeah, for sure. He deserves to be king.
He gets to be with Arwen. She chose a mortal life over an immortal elf life, which is weird. Why you gotta choose? Like, can't you just marry Aragorn and then live after he died? Can you not do that?
She'd be sad. She doesn't want to live without him.
Anyways, maybe I'm just not up in the know on all of the in-depth lore. I've only read The Hobbit and The Fellowship of the Ring, and even then, that was a while ago. So I'm not as in the know. So if I miss something, then I just missed something. My bad.
I thought, could they not have been together if she was immortal?
No, if she.
Oh.
It's weird.
Oh. Well, I just also thought she'd be sad if she outlived him for very long.
Anyways, also, so Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin are there at Aragorn's coronation, and when he comes up to them, they all bow because he's their king.
He's king, yeah.
But he stops them and says, "My friends, you bow to no one." Then he kneels in front of all these hobbits, and so does everyone else in the city. And for a brief moment, the hobbits were the tallest people around.
Yeah, for once in their lives, yeah.
And it's so nice because they clearly deserve this, even though Frodo, Sam, and Merry, to an extent, are a bit unsure about this. Pippin's fine with it, though.
Yeah, he's like, obviously these guys are going to bow to me.
And when they get back home to the Shire after their epic adventure, they've saved Middle Earth and the Shire from the evils of Mordor, and it's just not the same for them.
Yeah. Well, they went through a very huge life-changing event.
Yes, it mirrors Tolkien's own experience of coming home after the war. He changed, but back home didn't. It's not the same home as he left.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Life just kept going, or it stayed the same, and it's not what he's not. It's not what he knew.
Yeah.
So after this, Frodo decides to go with Gandalf, Bilbo, Galadriel, and Elrond to the Undying Lands, where he can heal finally.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's just also it makes you feel so many things. You're happy for Frodo because he gets to finally heal from his experience, but you feel bad because all his friends are losing him.
Yeah, very very emotional.
And a lot of people like to make fun of this movie for having all these different endings, but here's the thing: a lot of things were wrapping up. They needed to, give everyone an ending, and they didn't even give everyone an ending because, the book, I'm told, has more endings than this. Because we get to know what everyone does. Here we get Aragorn, we get the hobbits, we get the ring. That's about it. There's not it was never a problem for me. All these endings.
Yeah, me either. Because there's a lot of stuff that needs to get wrapped up. We need to see what happens. And yeah, we don't even get to see everybody's ending, so.
Yeah, it's the perfect ending to one of the best trilogies of all time. Like the Lord of the Rings trilogy for me is, in terms of movie trilogies, is up there with the Cornetto trilogy, the Dollars trilogy, the Dark Knight and Guardians of the Galaxy trilogies. Did I say Back to the Future?
No, I don't think so.
The Back to the Future trilogy. All of these trilogies hold a special place in my heart where I can't not watch all of them after I start one of them. They're just special to me.
Yeah.
And whatever movie is the weakest in these, it's only that because the other two are so good. None of these movies in any of these trilogies are bad by any means.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're all really good.
So now that we're at the end of this long journey, we should talk about our favorites.
Our favorite what? Characters?
Yeah, characters, scenes, all that.
Oh, well,
So-
you already know.
Yeah, we know that our favorite character is Sam, but if you had to choose someone else,
Probably Legolas.
you simp.
But he's also cool.
Yeah, he is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'd say Gandalf. I really like his I really like how he's there to save everyone, but he's gonna be real grumpy about it too.
Yeah, he's a pretty cool dude.
What about favorite scene?
No, that's hard because this is a big trilogy. I will go with that battle on the field.
Battle of Pelennor Fields?
Yep. I'll go with that one.
Okay.
Are you going to go with that one?
I was gonna go with the Rider of the Rohirrim,
Oh.
or when Aragorn tells the hobbits that they bow to no one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are good.
I also really liked the part in the Fellowship when they're all arguing about who's gonna do what with the ring, and then Frodo just gets up and says that he'll take the ring, and we just see Gandalf just sigh in disappointment that it had to come to this, because well he knew what the pretty uneventful journey in comparison to this one did to Bilbo in order to take back Erebor from Smaug. So he knows Frodo is not coming back unscathed no matter what happens.
Yeah.
But he joins Frodo, and eventually others do too. First we get Aragorn, then Legolas, then Gimli, which this is the only time in the trilogy where Legolas actually talks to Frodo. That's a bit weird.
It is a little weird.
And at the end of Return of the King, when Frodo wakes up in Rivendell, and everyone comes into the rooms, and he says their name. He doesn't say Legolas's name.
He doesn't really know Legolas that
Shows the impact Legolas left on Frodo.
well. Yeah.
You pointy-eared elf dummy.
Whatever.
But yeah, so wait, where was I before all this? Oh yeah, Council of Elrond, and then Sam bursts in. He's like, "Well, Frodo's not going anywhere without me." And then Merry and Pippin come in, and they don't even know what's going on. They're just happy to be there.
They're like, yeah, we're going too. Don't know where we're going, but we're going.
Oh yeah, Boromir also joined too, but
He didn't last too
Boromir died.
long. Yeah.
Admittedly, that was a pretty sad scene though, because he died saving the hobbits, even though they ended up getting captured anyways. But it's okay. It works out in the end.
Yeah. Everyone else lived, so it's okay.
Boromir lives on in our hearts.
Yeah.
Do you have anything more to say about the Lord of the Rings trilogy?
I don't think so. I think we said about everything.
I will say that we're not going to immediately go to the Hobbit trilogy. We might do that eventually, but it's not a priority for us. We have a whole list of things to do for next year.
Yeah. We'll see if we can get through it or not.
We'll see. So that was 2023, a pretty fun year for the most part. I know we had some large gaps where we didn't do anything, but honestly, I felt a little burnt out. Like, that sounds weird, but given what we do, like, this is a pretty simple setup we got here, but even still, it can happen.
Yeah, it's been a crazy year, so it's all right.
That plus the fact that we're living at your mom's house for a few months.
Yeah, that put a hindrance on our
production.
Yeah, production.
So a lot of things contributed, but we're gonna try our best to do pretty well next year. We have our 100th episode coming in a few episodes, but our next episode, like we've done at the start of the last few years, we're going to be doing a Jurassic Park movie. We're going to start next year off with Jurassic Park 3.
What happens whenever we get to a year where we can't do a Jurassic Park movie?
Look, dude, that's like 3 years away.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
There might be another Jurassic Park movie, or we'll just do We'll do Camp Cretaceous. Why not? It's a animated Jurassic Park Netflix series.
All right, there you go.
It's kind of cool, actually. I like it.
Well, okay.
Anyways, don't worry about that. That's like years away.
I was just okay, fine. I was just being silly. We gotta wrap this up. This is taking too long.
Okay, but just to give a bit of a sneak peek of what we have planned for next year, aside from Jurassic Park 3, let's gotta check out my Letterboxd. We're planning to do some Kurosawa movies. The Dollar Trilogy for a friend of mine who requested it. Some Godzilla, the Monsterverse, of course. Hopefully we get to Band of Brothers in the Pacific. We're planning on doing some Disney movies, their direct-to-video sequels, and their live-action remakes. That'll be interesting and kind of painful.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that.
Planning on doing every single Tarantino movie, every single Star Wars movie. That's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Some of that'll be fun. Some of that'll be Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Some Coen Brothers movies, Shrek and Deadpool. Since we did their sequels last year, but we just didn't bother with the first ones at all. That's a little weird of us.
I don't know. It's your idea, probably.
The Batman movies, Burton, Schumacher, and Nolan.
All right.
We're going to do some comedies, too, like the Mr. Bean movies, Johnny English, Rat Race, and Top Secret. Those are a couple movies that you showed me.
Yes, and they're pretty good.
The Kingsman movies, the Avengers, Captain America movies, some Stephen King adaptations, the Rocky and Rambo movies, the Jaws sequels, the Terminator movies, RoboCop, the Evil Dead movies. We didn't get to do those this year. It just got away from us.
Maybe next year or this coming year.
Yeah, for Halloween.
Yeah.
Some Nicolas Cage stuff, because why not?
Why not?
Some Ed Wood.
Interesting.
Among other things, like some Studio Ghibli movies, which is not going to be fun when it comes to copyright checks on YouTube, but you know what? We will do our best.
We'll try our best.
And we're also planning to do all of the Muppet movies that have been released so far that we haven't done already.
That'll be fun.
We already did Muppet Christmas Carol, but that's okay. We'll do everything else.
Yeah. Since it's Christmas, we could put it separate. Yeah, it'll be fine.
So that is a wrap on the Lord of the Rings trilogy and 2023 for us. We hope you guys have a happy new year, and we look forward to seeing you again in 2024.
Happy New Year!